Hello, 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 everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to the Flight Sim world. This is Flight Strike 95, and we are here today just outside St. Louis, Missouri. Happy Friday, you guys. And this is another round of the 50 states and 50 streams. Today we're here in Illinois. Actually, we're in the Illinois side of the Mississippi River, just outside of downtown St. Louis, here at St. Louis Downtown Airport. And I hope you're all having a great rest of your week. We're here with the nerfs. We're now entering part 3 of our series. We're here at the state of Illinois, the alumni state. So I hope you all are having a great week so far, and I hope you all enjoy your day. So, guys, if you don't know about Illinois, the alumni state, located here in the Midwest United States, really cool state. Of course, there's some really cool areas here to visit. It's also known as the land of Lincoln, Prairie State, and more. So really cool states. We'll talk plenty about this state here today. It's historically been one of the most important states in the country, historically. So before we get started, I do want to say hello to everyone in the chat. We have all the lurkers. Good to see you guys here too, and the mods. Welcome on in, everyone. So here's our flight plan for this day. So here's our flight plan for this morning stream. So here we go for this morning. So we're starting here at St. Louis downtown. We'll fly to Cahokia Mounds State Historic Site, which is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Then from Cahokia, we'll fly up north to Springfield. We'll check out the capital of Illinois in Springfield, and we'll make our landing here at Abraham Lincoln Capitol Airport. Then from there, we'll make our way over to the city of Peoria. We'll check out downtown Peoria, explore downtown for a bit. Then we'll head east to Pontiac Municipal Airport, Kilo Papa November Tango, and then finally from here we'll visit downtown Chicago. We'll fly into Chicago. We'll fly down to Hyde Park, and then we'll fly across much of the coast. We'll fly around the south side of Chicago. There might be a few interesting landmarks here visiting here as well. But we'll fly around downtown. We'll be flying through all the historic places in Chicago. Visit the Willis Tower here in Chicago. We'll fly around the Willis Tower, the Navy Pier. We'll visit the historic baseball field of Wrigley Field, Evanston, home of Northwestern, and then we'll make our way over to Chicago Executive for our final stop. So yes, we're going to be checking out multiple major cities, and we'll check out some important landmarks here. State. So our first airport here today is St. Louis Downtown Airport. This airport's actually located in Cahokia Heights, Illinois, 3 miles less than Gateway Arch. It's by many business aircraft in the St. Louis region. It's mainly used for a lot of general aviation, FAA control tower, firefighting services, and more. It's mainly used by the St. Louis University's Parks College of Engineering Aviation Tech for training purposes, as well as the St. Louis Cardinals for charter flights to away games. Because it is really close to downtown St. Louis. And it opened back in 1929 as Curtis Steinberg Airport. It was used as a Gulf Coast training center for the U.S. Army Air Forces. It used to have past airline service. The last time was 1984, but it's now mainly used as a GA airport. That's what St. Louis downtown has been used for. So the plane we're taking today is actually a plane I haven't actually flown in yet, but this is the Cessna 185. Now this was one of the 3 planes that was given to us by Caronado for MSFS Cessna 185. This is the Cessna 185 Skywagon. It first flew in 1960. Its first model was completed in 1961. Over 3,900 made. They're still very popular aircraft. And they were widely used for bush flying. Bush flying is actually their most popular use thanks to its rear wheel tail wheel configuration. It makes it very popular for bush flying, particularly those for passenger and freight transport to remote airstrip, particularly in Canada and Alaska. There's tons of different variants, including a Kimberley variant. Of course, this plane is powered by a 300 horsepower Continental engine, cruises up to 145 knots, and it has a range of 720 nautical miles. So, pretty cool little plane. Very neat to see here in the sim. We're going to go ahead and get her started. Thankfully, like all Cessnas, this should be a pretty easy. Turbocharged models, yeah, turbocharged models can do 175 knots, Siphon, that's correct. Yeah, we're going to get this bad boy ready we're going to take this off, and we're going to do some taking off here. We're going to take off from runway 23, the GA strip. You guys want to know how short this thing can take off, by the way. You'd be surprised, but it can actually take off at pretty short distances. But I wanted to take this plane since I didn't really normally don't get to this plane. And yeah, she's off pretty quick. Like I said, this is a very popular bush plane for a lot of bush pilots. And she's off. We're going to head to Kahoka this morning. So Kahoka will be our first waypoint here today. These mines the Kahoka Mounds is a site of Native American city directly across from St. Louis. It dates back. It covers around 2,200 acres of land and about 3.5 square miles and 80 man-made mounds. But the ancient city was actually much larger. At the impacts at 1100 CE, the city covered 6 square miles, included around 120 earthworks in a wide range of sizes, shapes, and functions, and had a population between 15,000 to 20,000 people, which was a lot for ancient communities back in the day. And it was the largest and most influential urban settlement of the Mississippian culture, which developed much of the societies in much of the central and southeast U.S. And today, they're considered to be the largest and most complex archaeological site north of the Great Pre-Columbian cities here in Mexico. And not only is it a National Historic Landmark, it's also one of the 26 UNESCO World Heritage Sites here in the United States. How cool is that, guys? And it's open to the public and administered by the Illinois National Historic Preservation Division. It's one of the 200 great places in Illinois and one of the top 25 must-see places here in the state. Really cool area, and I highly recommend you guys check it out. Definitely pretty cool. You should be heading there. To our left, here is the historic city of St. Louis, Missouri. Now, we're going to be in St. Louis, by the way, in our series. We'll be heading to St. Louis. We'll actually be flying to St. Louis Actually, next week we'll be visiting St. Louis itself in next week. We'll be back in the St. Louis area next week, but we're actually be flying out of Farmington up to St. Louis before heading west across the states. So. But she's really stable. She's really nice to fly. So we should see the Cahokia Mounds pretty soon. So our mounds are actually just below us. It's going to be the Cahokia Mounds. There is our site we'll be visiting here, just below. See all those mounds area here? That's the mounds. The Cahokia people. See all the mound stuff? That's where it's. We'll turn west, and we're going to make our way down to Springfield, Illinois. So head west. St. Louis was also a place we did a city tour over too, if I remember correctly. Yeah, we did St. Louis, I believe it was one of the city tours. But we flew over downtown St. Louis. It was during our baseball tour, I believe. We visited St. Louis. So let's go ahead and talk a little bit about the U.S. state of Illinois as we head to Springfield. Let's talk about the land of Lincoln. So Illinois, if you guys aren't aware, located here in the Midwest United States. Located here in the Midwestern United States, Illinois is actually borders of Lake Michigan to the northeast, Mississippi River to the west, and the Wabash River to the south. In terms of U.S. states, it borders Wisconsin, Iowa, Missouri, Kentucky, and Indiana are the states it borders. Of the 50 U.S. states, Illinois has the 5th largest GDP of any U.S. state, the largest population, and the 25th most land area in the country. So it's about half of all the land area here in the United States is actually here in Illinois. Of course, the population and GDP is heavily influenced by a certain city a certain massive metropolitan area located on the banks of Lake Michigan. And trust me, we'll be visiting that place when we get there, being Chicago. Illinois was inhabited by indigenous culture for thousands of years. The first Europeans were the French. And then after a century later, the Illinois campaign brought a lot of Americans to the region. And American settlers arrived here via the Ohio River from Kentucky. Of course, the Erie Canal brought a lot of activities to the Great Lakes. And of course, John Deere helped turn this prairie to some of the most valuable farmland. Of course, a lot of migration also grew Illinois as well, mainly in Chicago, of course, and grew it into a massive metropolitan area. But even though all this happened, Illinois is also special for having 2 UNESCO World Heritage Sites, Cahokia Mounds, and then the Wright Architecture Site. There's also a lot of protected areas here in the states, as well as being home to 3 U.S. presidents, all elected Illinois residents: Abraham Lincoln, Ulysses S. Grant, and Barack Obama. Ronald Reagan was also born in the state, though he didn't represent Illinois, he represented California. It's a highly diverse economy with the global city of Chicago, major industrial and agricultural hubs in the north and center, and natural resources in the south. And the state is a major transportation hub, mainly in Chicago, and a railroad and aviation hub as well. And finally, Illinois has been a part of U.S. culture as a bellwether, mainly by the phrase, "Will it play in Peoria?" Yes, Illinois is definitely a pretty unique state to cover here. So historically, Illinois starts with its indigenous history. Illinois goes back to around thousands of years ago when American Indian tribes, successive cultures, lived along the waterways of this area for thousands of years before the Europeans. One site is the Coaster Site, and has been around, and it demonstrates over 7,000 years of continuing habitation. Of course, we visited over Cahokia, the largest regional chiefdom of the pre-Columbian Mississippi culture here in Illinois. Got to visit it. including a plaza larger than 35 football fields, as well as the largest pre-Columbian structure amongst mountains, 100 feet tall, 100 feet high as well. There are also other groups of people living here too. Of course, including the Potawatomi, Miami, Sauk, Iowa, Kickapoo, Mascouten, Shawnee, and other peoples came around this area. Unfortunately, with European arrivals, as well as warfare and more positive decline of the indigenous people here in Illinois. Of course, the first Europeans that came around this area were the French, mainly with Jacques Marquette and Louis Joliet. Joliet explored the Illinois River in 1673, were the first Europeans to come here. Soon, he founded a mission here, known as the Grand Village of Illinois in Illinois County. 1680, French explorers under René Robert Cavalier, Sieur de La Salle, and Henry de Tonty constructed a fort at the site of present-day Peoria in 1862. A fort-top Starved Rock was built, and a lot of French Empire Canadians came south to settle around this area. Illinois became part of New France until 1763, when it was given to the British after the French and Indian War, or the 7 Years' War. Those small French settlements continued, and many of them migrated west to evade the British. A few British soldiers were posted here. Of course, post-American Revolution, the U.S. gained control of the territory and became part of the Northwest Territory. In 1809, they were starting the Illinois Wabash Company, was founded as a claimant to much of Illinois, and Illinois Territory was created in 1809 with its capital at Kaskaskia, which is an early French settlement. It was the original capital of Illinois. There were multiple discussions that led to Illinois' part of the Union and proposed the northern boundary to be moved twice, but eventually moved to the modern-day border in 1818 at Lake Michigan. And as a result, Illinois became a U.S. state in 1818 and eventually became the 21st state of the Union. Its capital remained Kaskaskia. And then in 1819, it became a new capital, Vandalia, and then for the next 18 years, there were 3 separate buildings that serve as the capital. And then, of course, that changed as well in 1837 when state legislators representing Sangamon County, led by with under the leadership of a state representative named Abraham Lincoln. You guys probably know him later as the 16th president, but yes, he was actually a state representative. And during that time, he suggested building a new capital city. And he moved the capital to Springfield, where it's still here today as the state capital of Illinois, and they built a new Capitol building. The 5th Capitol building was constructed, and then a new one in 1867, which is the new Capitol today. The old Capitol is now a historic site that's worth visiting. During the Civil War, it was pretty much a free state. There was slavery here. However, in 1848, slavery was prohibited. Of course, most residents still pose a free black permanent residents. Some bring slaves and house servants, but eventually, and all that. There was also a lot of issues with the weather and all that, including a lot of snow. There was a Native tribe war between the natives and the U.S. in 1832 in Illinois that represented Indian resistance in the Chicago region, and of course caused a lot of the native tribes to be removed from much of Illinois. Also in 1833, Chicago gained prominence as one of the Great Lakes ports, and then when the Illinois-Michigan Canal was built, it became a massive shipping and rail hub and became Illinois' largest city, and it's not even close. It is by far the largest city in Illinois. And it was also the ground for labor unions in the state. Illinois was also one of the first states to establish state-supported treatment of mental illness, as well in 1847. Illinois definitely had some unique history here. Finally, of course, during the American Civil War, Illinois ranked fourth of all soldiers served in the war, with over 250,000 soldiers that served in the Union Army, only surpassing by New York, Pennsylvania, and Ohio. Of course, Illinois played a big role in the Civil War. Cairo was also pretty important as a strategic supply base for the Union, as well as both General Grant and Admiral Foote had headquarters here as well. And during the Civil War more so, it caused Chicago's population to skyrocket. Of course, also during this time, the Pullman strike and Haymarket riots drew a lot of the American labor union. And there was also the Great Chicago Fire that lasted in 3 days in October in 1871. At the turn of the 20th century, Illinois had a population of nearly 5 million people. Many from other parts of the country were attracted by the state's employment caused by the expanding industry, and whites were about 90% of the population at that time. Chicago was also notable for hosting the Century Progress World's Fair in 1933, which was a massive World's Fair, one of the more impressive ones as well. There were also oil strikes in Marion County and Crawford County that led to booms in economic, and by 1939, you wouldn't believe this, but Illinois ranked fourth in the nation in oil production. During World War II, Illinois also manufactured 6% of total U.S. armament, which is 7th among U.S. states. Chicago became a major ocean port with the St. Lawrence Seaway in 1959. And this allowed Chicago to connect to both the Mississippi and Atlantic Ocean, becoming a big port. Also, the first McDonald's franchise was opened in 1960. Planes. Illinois also played a role in the nuclear age as well, part of the Manhattan Project, and the University of Chicago did the first nuclear chain reaction here in Chicago. Of course, in 1961, Illinois became the first state in the nation to adopt recommendation of the American Law Institute and passed a criminal code revision that repealed the law against sodomy. The code also abrogated control of common law crimes and established an age of consent of 18. And they also had a new constitution in 1970 to replace the one in 1870. And also the first farming concert was held in 1985 in Champaign. And then there was also a flood in 1993, which inundated many towns and farmland too. During the 20th century, Illinois entered under Republican Governor George Wythe, and near his end of the term, there was a lot of profile exonerations. Well, but most notably, however, the 2002 election brought Blagojevich to the governor's mansion, and it also brought in future President Barack Obama to the committee leadership position, and where he drafted the Healthcare Justice Act, which is the forerunner to the Affordable Care Act, aka also known as Obamacare by some people. Blagojevich's impeachment trial as well, and was replaced by Pat Quinn. He was defeated in the 2014 election by Bruce Rauner, and eventually Rauner did a lot of things about police. So that is a bit of Illinois' history here today. This plane flies really nicely. I really like flying this Cessna. I really enjoy flying the Cessna 185. I think this is a great little aircraft. It's a great plane. I really enjoy it. Yes, I hope you're all having a good weekend here. So some bit of news and stuff I do want to cover here. First, Major League Baseball's back. Yes, it's been a long time, but Major League Baseball has officially returned on opening day today. Yesterday was opening day, so big stuff today. The Reds did unfortunately lost yesterday. Not a good thing for the Reds. Thought the Reds got a chance to win that game. They blew it in the 9th inning. They just gave up 4 runs. Balls. Maybe tomorrow they might get a good chance of winning, but not a good thing to have. The Rays are playing today at Steinbrenner Field. Should be interesting on opening day. Yeah, really interesting stuff. The Cubs absolutely won. Cubs won. Dodgers won opening day. The Blue Jays absolutely did amazing. 6 home runs. They crushed them. The White Sox managed to get a win. A pretty convincing one, too. Yeah, some pretty big stuff in the baseball world. My World Series predictions is I think it's going to be Dodgers versus. It's going to be in the. I think Dodgers versus. People are going to say the Orioles. I think it could be the Orioles in the World Series, but I think it's Dodgers. I think it's Dodgers Orioles, and I think the Dodgers are going to take home another World Series championship this year. I mean, just the talent this Dodgers team is just ridiculous. Shohei Ohtani. I mean, the Dodgers are just loaded with talent. I mean, the Dodgers are just loaded with talent. Shohei Ohtani. They got Rory Sasaki, Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman. I mean, Mac Muncy's really good. You got Yamamoto's pitcher and Sasaki are both really talented young pitchers. You got great pitchers. You got veteran leadership. There's just a lot of great talent in LA, and I think they're going to take home another championship. It's going to go back to Los Angeles. I do think the Reds are going to be pretty good this season. I mean, the AL Central isn't super tough of a division. But I mean, I think the team that's going to take home the division is probably the Brewers again. Milwaukee's been pretty good. Milwaukee's a good team. But I do think the Reds could make a run at the division. Just not going to be super easy. I mean, we do have Ellie De La Cruz and MVP candidates. But and then the NBA is also still going on. Is the NBA Pacers got another win last night. They got another win, so they're just 2.5 games back from the Knicks for third in the East. Knicks and the Celtics are in the playoffs. I think the Pacers are going to make the playoffs pretty soon. I think they'll get a playoff hit cinched. And in the Western Conference, Oklahoma City Thunder has been the top team in the West by a pretty wide margin. The rest of the teams are pretty good. The West has always been a more stacked conference. Pretty interesting stuff this season. So yeah, that's going to be coming up this week. I know the Premier League doesn't come back until Wednesday. That'll be next Wednesday when the Premier League comes back. Catch up to Everton. See how the Toffees are themselves. Louisville City is going to be playing tomorrow against Detroit. So Louisville City is going to do pretty good. So, go City. With the Blue City. Then the NCAA tournament's about to continue going on. So the Sweet 16 games happened. So if you look at our bracket, so in the Sweet 16 yesterday, Texas Tech had beat Arkansas. Florida beat Maryland. Duke beats Arizona in a pretty good game, and Alabama crushes BYU. They are the last part of the Sweet 16. Michigan Auburn should be really interesting because Michigan's been red hot right now. A win against Auburn would be pretty huge for this. Ole Miss, Michigan State. That should be another interesting one. Imagine a Michigan State Elite Eight. That would be. And then, of course, we have Kentucky Tennessee rivalry in the NCAA tournament. Kentucky Tennessee. I hope that Vols win. Don't want to see Kentucky in Elite Eight. And then Purdue Houston. I'm hoping Purdue makes the upset. Purdue wins that game. But I mean, Houston's pretty good. Should be an interesting NCAA tournament. Should be really interesting. So. And then we have the NHL, which is the National Hockey League. This season for the NHL, the Maple Leafs are doing well in the Atlantic Division. The Capitals have clinched their spot in the playoffs as the best team in the East. It's not a surprise. Washington's been unbelievable. Alex Ovechkin. Alex Ovechkin is he scored his 889th in his career. He's now only just it's just insane. He's only 6 goals away from breaking the record. Six games away from breaking Gretzky's record, which is unbelievable to think about it. That in our lifetime, we're going to see someone break one of Gretzky's records, a great one. None of us would ever expect that to ever happen, but here we are. Someone's going to actually do it. No one thought anyone could break Gretzky's records. Ovechkin, he could potentially do it this season. I would like to see Ovechkin break that record. I think that would be such a big thing for the NHL to finally get someone to break one of Gretzky's records, especially the goals record, one of his big records. I think he will break the record. If not this season, he'll definitely do it next season. Trust me. Ovechkin's going to be the greatest goal scorer the NHL has ever seen. Big thing. Oh, and finally in the West, looks like there are teams I think making the playoffs is probably the Hurricanes, Maple Leafs, Panthers, Lightning, and the Senators, or potential, and probably the Devils. Probably the Islanders somehow make the playoffs, or the Rangers. In the West, Winnipeg clinched their division. Winnipeg's been unbelievable this season. Not surprised. They've been one of the 2 best teams in the NHL this season. Stars are going to very likely clinch their playoff spot soon. The Avalanche are definitely going to make the playoffs as well in that Central Division. And then the last team here, the Wild and the Blues. And then the Pacific Division, the Golden Knights are going to make the playoffs pretty soon. The Kings and Oilers could take one of those 2 spots. Down to the Canucks or flying. Yeah, pretty big stuff. Big stuff here in the NHL. Pretty interesting season. So, I hope you're all having a good time. We're just flying over Illinois. We're heading to Springfield. So Springfield will be our first stop here today is Springfield, and it is actually Illinois state capital here as well. Illinois is the 7th most populous city in the state. It's the state capital city. It's the 2nd most populous outside the metro area after Rockford. And in Central Illinois' most populous city with 208,000 residents in the metro area. It was settled by European Americans in the late 1810s. Its most famous resident, of course, is Abraham Lincoln, from 1837 to 1861 when he became president. Major tourist attractions include multiple sites relating to Lincoln, including the Abraham Lincoln Presidential Library, the Lincoln Home, Old State Capitol, the Lincoln Herndon Law Offices, and the Lincoln Tomb, which is Abraham Lincoln's final resting place. And as a result, it became the state capital in 1839, and much of the government is based here in Illinois. You also have the historic governor's mansion here as well, which is the official residence of the governor, and it's been around since pre-Civil War times. Springfield is most well known for being a wide range of individuals who contribute to American culture, like Vachel Lindsay, who did his poem "The Congo" and the booklet called "Rhymes to Be Traded for Bread" was born here. John L. Lewis, a labor activist and major Marijuana Post, founded the General Foods Corporation, actually lived here in the city. It's also got some other tourist sites. It's known for being the home of the corn dog, which was invented under the Cozy Dog. There's a drive-in for it. You also have the horseshoe sandwich, also originated here, which basically is an open-faced sandwich with toasted bread, hamburger patty, French fries, and cheese sauce. It's also home to the first U.S. drive-through window, the Main Right Sandwich Shop here in Springfield, dating back to built in 1921. And it's known for its own version of chili. So yeah, really cool stuff. Springfield's a neat city. Definitely worth checking out here. Well, it's also home to some minor league baseball teams as well. Pretty cool stuff here about Illinois. And our first stop is actually Springfield Airport. Abraham Lincoln Capital Airport is going to be our first stop. I did put in the notes I had to change the flight plan a bit because we were originally going to go to Champaign and all that, but I decided that we're not going to go to Champaign and all that. I wanted to make the flight plan a little shorter since I wanted to take this thing. So Abraham Lincoln Capital Airport is located just 3 miles northwest downtown Springfield. It is the 7th busiest airport of the 12 here in the state. Mainly used as a non-hub primary commercial service airport. It was dedicated in 1947 under Capital Airport to build new facilities. It upgraded its terminal in 2018 under a new one, under a grant to help park the terminal. Currently in 2022, 149,000 passengers went throughout the airport. Nowadays serves several destinations, mainly in Florida, but also American Eagle ops to Chicago and Blaze Airways to Orlando. But it's mainly used for those 3 destinations. Springfield is going to come up soon. Be located in front of us. It has some photogrammetry, so we'll be able to fly around downhill Springfield and take some picture stuff of the Discord. If you guys want to know my Discord, We'll take some pictures of the Capitol area. We'll fly around. We'll fly around the Lincoln Home site. We'll take a picture of that, and then we'll fly over both the old state capitol and the current Capitol building. Current Capitol building should be located. Here's the Lincoln Home. Lincoln Home's here. Governor's Mansion's up here. The old state capitol's here. New one that was built. Oh, it's right here. And we'll take several pictures around this area, and we'll make our way up to Springfield Airport. And yes, we'll take plenty of pictures also of Chicago as well. Check out downtown Chicago and take our pictures. Downtown, we'll fly around. We'll do plenty around. Really stable plane. I like flying this Cessna. This is really nice to fly. Really enjoyable to go out and explore this. So yeah, over the last couple days, I've been doing some of those Firefly achievements to try to catch back up to Firefly error. So that's what I was doing over the last couple days. Here's Springfield, Illinois. Here's guys, Springfield. Yeah, here's the Lincoln Home site. Not far from this area is his presidential library, which is his main Union Station. We also got the old Capitol. So here's the old Capitol here. And we go to our right. should be able to see the Capitol building. Here's the main Capitol building serving here in Springfield. There is the there's all the Lincoln stuff here. The Lincoln home site. Right around here is the Lincoln home site. And finally, we should see the Lincoln Monument finally. So this is Lincoln's burial place. We should briefly fly over that, take one final snapshot of Lincoln's resting place. Because you all know what happened to Lincoln in 1865. John Wilkes Booth shot him in the head in Washington, D.C., one of the most famous presidential assassination in American history. Here, and we're going to go ahead. Here we go. Here it is, Springfield Airport. Make our first stop here. Yeah, the Illinois State. Illinois, baby. So, of course, on Sunday we'll be in Alabama. We'll be going from Mobile to Huntsville via Selma, Montgomery, and Birmingham. Check out these interesting places. Perfect landing here. Yes, I do like flying this Cessna 185. Yeah, guys, we're going to make our first landing of the day here in Illinois. So we're here in Springfield, guys. We'll rest here for just a little bit. If you guys want to join on in, we are in the Southeast Asian server. Make sure it's all players. And here's our route for today. we're gonna get ready to go ahead and get going here for our second leg of the trip here. We're gonna go ahead. We're gonna head our way over to Peoria next. We're gonna head straight. We're gonna head over to Peoria for a bit. Let's talk a bit about Illinois' geography. So it's located here in the Midwest region of the United States. It's one of the 8 states in the Great Lakes region of North America, alongside Wisconsin, Indiana, Michigan, Ohio, Pennsylvania, New York, 6, 7, 8, because Minnesota is the last one of the 8 Great Lakes states. Although, in terms of topography, even though much of it is in the interior plains, Illinois actually has some minor variation in elevation. In the extreme northwest Illinois, known as the Driftless area, which is a region of unglaciated, higher, more rugged topography, across much of the state. There's also hilly areas around southern Illinois, such as Shawnee National Forest. And of course, the highest natural elevation in the state is actually Charles Mountain, which is about 1,235 feet above sea level. But of course, most of the state is not super big. There's also topography around much of its rivers here as well. And there are 3 main divisions here in Illinois: northern, southern, central Illinois are the 3 major divisions. Northern Illinois is dominated by a lot of the Chicago metropolitan area, or Chicagoland, and it's continuing to expand even more so. It includes several counties, not just in Illinois, but in Indiana and Wisconsin. It has over 9.8 million people. And the city itself is densely populated, industrialized, and the main transport hub of the entire nation. Then you have the midsection of Illinois, known as Central Illinois. Historically, it's been prairie, lots of grasslands and shrubs, but now it's mainly agricultural, known as the heart of Illinois, with a lot of small towns and many small cities. The western section is part of the Illinois River. It forms much of agriculture, like corn and soybeans, as well as educational institutions are a major part of Central Illinois. Then finally, the 3rd division is Southern Illinois, which includes the area south of US Route 50, including Little Egypt, near the junction of the Mississippi and Ohio River, and it's the site of the ancient city of Cahokia, as well as the first state capital of Kaskaskia, and also home to Cairo as well. So those are the 3 main regions of the U.S. state of Illinois for the geography. Of course, in terms of climate, Illinois has a climate that varies between the year. Because of its nearly 400-mile distance between its northernmost and southernmost extremes, as well as mid-continental situation, most of Illinois has a humid continental climate with hot, humid summers and cold winters. The southern part of the state, from around Carbondale southward, is humid subtropical with more moderate winters. Average yearly precipitation for Illinois varies from just over 48 inches of precipitation in the southern tip to around 35 inches in northern half of the state. However, snowfall can exceed 38 inches in Chicago due to the Great Lake weather condition. The all-time highest temperature was in 1954 with 117 degrees Fahrenheit, and the all-time low in 38 degrees Fahrenheit, negative 38 in 2019 during a cold wave. Illinois averages 51 days of thunderstorm a year, which is about above average. However, Illinois is vulnerable to tornadoes with an average of 54 occurred annually, which puts around 5 tornadoes per 10,000 square mile annually. Some of tornadoes' most deadly tornadoes occurred here in Illinois, most notably the Tri-State tornado of 1925, which killed 695 people across 3 states. And 613 of the victims actually died in Illinois. So it was actually the worst hit of the 3 parts. Yes, do be careful when visiting the U.S. state of Illinois. So do be careful of the occasion of the tornadoes. And Illinois is part of Tornado Alley. Do be warned. We're going to continue heading north here for the flights and series streams for the rest of our community. On on later today, Tuto Murphy will be back on his stream. He'll be doing in Spain the Cessna 182Q. He'll be going around from Malaga to Granada, then head up to Baza, then Arbelias in Mojacar, and then go down to Almeria and fly back to Malaga. Should be fun. Spain is absolutely gorgeous. I think it'd be a fantastic flight. So Murph will be on later today at 2000 Zulu. And then on tomorrow, we will have Alison Johnson back with another historic flight, another leg of her historical recreation. She'll be flying from Dubai over to Karachi, to Muscat and Karachi. So we'll be doing that. Should estimate to be around 7-hour stream. So that's what she's going to be doing today. So here's Murphy and Alison Johnson. That's what's going on their week for those two. For me, on Sunday, we'll be back in Alabama, so we'll be out. Alabama. We're going to be pretty close to Peoria. We're not too much far away from there. Yeah, all this Illinois flatland, all this area here is very much agriculture. Agriculture is rich here. Very rich here in this part of Illinois. Talk about Illinois here for a bit. Economically speaking, Illinois is actually one of the highest GDPs of any U.S. state. It reached $1 trillion as of 2022. And that's a big part of Illinois' economy has been, it's the 5th largest GDP here in the United States and one of the world's most diversified economies. Thanks to the fact it's by Chicago in the metro area, home to some of the largest U.S. companies, including Abbott Laboratories, Congrub, Kraft Heinz, McDonald's, and more, all make major parts of the areas. Along with other Fortune 500 across state, other Fortune 500 world headquarters here in the state include State Farm in Bloomington and John Deere in Moline, Illinois. And the Chicago area is also a global financial center and headquarters for a lot of financial institutions here too. As a result, Illinois is ranked 4th in the nation with the most Fortune 500 based companies with 36 of them. For 6 straight years, Chicagoland was the nation's top metro area for corporate relocations. And Illinois' total is $1.132 million, $1.32 trillion, which is the most. Again, much of it is Chicago. In fact, in 2016, 9 counties in Chicago account for 77% of the state's total wages, which is crazy. It shows how much of a different economic disparity. That's why if you look at the picture here, you can see all the different counties by GDP. Some of those are the ones in dark green. Cook County, over $100 billion of GDP. The other two are around $50 billion to $100 billion, and that's all in Chicagoland. The rest of the state is either between 10 and 50 billion or under 10 billion, which is crazy. But it makes sense. Chicago is one of the big cities here in the United States. It makes plenty of sense. Of course, one of the big deals about this is got to be the state's agriculture. The agriculture is a big deal here in Illinois. It's one of the nation's big agricultural states. It's either the top, it mainly produces that outputting corn, soybeans, hogs, cattle, dairy products, and wheat are the big parts of Illinois' agriculture. Illinois is either first or second in the state in total production of soybeans, with over 427 million bushels of soybeans. After Iowa's production, it also ranks second in corn production with more than 1.5 billion bushels of corn produced annually. It also is a top producer of ethanol, as well as being a leader in food manufacturing, meat processing. Though Chicago is no longer the hog butcher of the world, it still remains a global center for food manufacturing in Chicago. Also, you'd be surprised, but Illinois also produces a lot of wine. A wine area too. In fact, it's home to 2 American viticultural areas in the state. And Illinois, and also its universities, are very much researching a lot of agricultural products as alternative crops, which makes sense considering just how important of a thing agriculture is to the state of Illinois. Pretty important stuff here. In terms of the other stuff for its economy, manufacturing, Illinois is one of the major manufacturing leaders, with about 107 billion US in 2006 for manufacturing. And it's the 4th most productive manufacturing state in the country, between California, Texas, and Ohio. Many of them are again in the northeast region of around Chicago. And they mainly produce chemical manufacturing, machinery, food manufacturing, metal products, and more for major parts of Chicago's economy. Services are also a bigger deal nowadays. It's services, mainly around the mercantile exchange and trading, and more, are a big deal. On high-value services like financial training, higher education, law, logistics, and medicine are a big deal. And finally, for energy sources, It actually has a large coal and resources. It actually has a lot of coal resources following up here in Illinois. In fact, Illinois actually is ranked third in the United States in 2010 for recoverable coal reserves in the country. And much of the coal here is exported to other states, while much of it burned for Illinois is actually mined in Wyoming. And it also has historically been a major petroleum source. However, it has very limited crude oil reserves, and it's ranked 14th in oil production among U.S. states. Not as much as it used to be, but it's still notable to for you guys knowing. In fact, Illinois is also where nuclear power began here in the United States at Chicago Power 1, the world's first artificial self-sustained nuclear chain reaction in the world's first nuclear reactor. There's nuclear power really getting its home here in the United States, and there's growing potential for wind power here in the United States, as well as biofuel, are a big part of Illinois' future. And why Illinois will remain important even for years to come. So, I hope you guys are enjoying this information and learning more about Illinois as a U.S. state. So, I hope you're all doing well. If you guys are enjoying this, smash that follow button if you haven't followed yet. If you press exclamation point Discord, it'll link to my Discord. But we're here in Illinois in the Cessna 185. Really liking this plane a lot. Very stable. It is very enjoyable flying. You can take it on the bush stuff too, which can make it really nice. So we're going to head over to Peoria for a bit. Peoria, Illinois is actually population of 113,000. It's Illinois' 8th most populous city. Its metro area is around 402,000 people. It was established in 1691 by French explorer Henry de Tonty. It is the oldest permanent European settlement here in the state, according to the Illinois State Archaeological Survey. It received its current name in 1825. It was named after the Peoria people, a member of the Illinois Confederation. And in 1854, Abraham Lincoln made his famous speech here talking against the Kansas-Nebraska Act, which was trying to prevent the creations was against the act to create Kansas and Nebraska. Also, prior to Prohibition, Peoria was one of the center of the U.S. whiskey industry, as more than 12 distilleries operated here with whiskey. And it's a major river port in the Illinois River, and was much a trade and shipping center for a large area that produced corn, soybeans, and livestock. Though it's well diversified, the city traditional manufacturers still remain important, producing a lot of earth-moving equipment, metal products, lawn care equipment, steel towers, and more. Until 2010, it was the global national headquarters for heavy equipment and engine manufacturer Caterpillar, one of the 30 companies that comprise the Dow Jones Industrial Average, though it moved its headquarters to Deerfield, and then to Irving, Texas. Of course, the city is also well known for its phrase "Will Play in Peoria," which may have originated from the vaudeville era, and it's often spiritually attributed to Groucho Marx. There's also several museums in the city. this is Peoria, Illinois. We're going to. There's also several museums here as well, including the Morin House, the historic mansion, John C. Flanagan House, and the Wheels of Time Museum. It's also home to the Heart of Illinois Fair, established in 1945, as well as the Steamboat Classic, the world's largest 4-mile running race, and draws a lot of international runners from across the globe. Peoria is also home to minor league baseball, the Peoria Chiefs, as well as the ice hockey team, the Peoria Rivermen. Yeah, pretty cool stuff here. We're going to be here's downtown Peoria. To our left, you can see to our left, that is Peoria's airport, Greater Peoria Regional Airport. That's the main little airport here in Peoria, Illinois. A little place to do some of your regional flights in the Midwest. Yeah, I miss my PNG 737. That's something I wanted to do, some of the airline flying on my own. So once we fly over Peoria, we're going to turn west and head our way over to Pontiac, into Pontiac, Illinois. Yeah, I'm really enjoying this trip, guys. I'm having a ball here today. Great trip. Yep, so here it is, downtown Peoria. Good. Downtown Peoria. No photogrammetry though, but it'd be nice to fly over. So we'll head, so we're gonna go ahead and head on west. We're gonna head on east, and we're gonna make our way to Pontiac. So this waypoint will take us around 46 nautical miles to get there. But I do have some bit of interesting information about some stuff. I think one of the things coming up. So for this weekend, of course, I'm probably going to be doing some more research. I'm looking at France and see around France and all that. I got some stuff to do. Hey, Filthy, good to see you. Hello, hello, Filthy. I hope you're doing well here today. We're here in Illinois. We just flew over Peoria. We're going to head our way over to Pontiac. I'm really, in the Cessna 185, I'm really enjoying this plane. This is very enjoyable to fly. Really enjoying my time here in the sim. Oh yeah, definitely some GA planes. Like I said, I really enjoy this plane. Really nice. I was in the Cap 4 for last Wednesday. Definitely pretty nice little plane. It's a little slow, but for general sightseeing stuff, and it's definitely a great little plane for that. And 2024 also got some really great GA planes. The Rocco's a ton of fun. I mean, the GA Bushplanes from Goffrans are so much fun. The Draco is immensely fun. The Norden is one of my absolute new favorites in the new sim. Norden's amazing. That's fantastic. Optica. And even just the standard planes like for Toy Story are still really nice to fly. Like I said, this is an amazing GA sim. Even better than the last sim. The only thing I'm still waiting for GA is to get the installation of the Comanche. I don't know if it's fully compatible yet with MSFS 2024. I'm still probably waiting until it's officially confirmed. Like, yes, some people are able to fly the Comanche in the new sim. I'm just a little hesitant. I want to wait until everything's fully compatible. I don't want to toy with my sim too much. So I'm waiting for when that happens. That's what I'm going to be doing. Is wait for those. I'm checking my. I got plenty left in the tank. Right tank. So, oh yeah, the Duke's Comanche. Yeah. Oh yeah, no, the tube liners, man. Like, here's 4 with so many good tube liners. I'm waiting for when the thing I'm most waiting Filthy is to get that 737 and 777 NSFS 24 compatible. That's what I'm waiting for. When those two finally become compatible, I will definitely do some more streaming. Until I finally get the series done. So that's what I'm going to be waiting for is when all that comes. Because I have some BA stuff I want to do in my free time. I'm really looking forward to when they come. I'm looking. So briefly, I do want to talk about some more museums for a bit. So Illinois has some really great museums worth visiting here in the States. It's part of the culture here. But the Grays Mountain Museums is located in the Chicago area. Some of these are some of the best in the world, including the John G. Shedd Aquarium, the Field Museum of Natural History, Art Institute of Chicago, um, the Field Museum of Natural History. Hold on 1 second. Sorry about that. My brother was calling me. Um, sorry, I had a quick. I had to talk to him. I couldn't call him in the middle of my thing. So, museums got a lot of great museums here in the States, including the John C. Shedd Aquarium, Field Museum of Natural History, Art Institute of Chicago, the Adler Planetarium, Museum of Science. Of course, Springfield's also home to the Abraham Lincoln Presidential Library, which is the most attended, largest and most attended presidential library in the country. There's also the Illinois State Museum, which contains a lot of the collection of Illinois life, people, and arts, and it's only among only 5% of the nation's museums accredited by the American Alliance of Museums. Other really well-known museums include the Polish Museum of America in Chicago, Magnolia Manor in Cairo, the Easley Pioneer Museum in Ipava, the Elihu Benjamin Washburn, USS Grant's Homes in Galena, and the Chanteau Air Museum in Rantoul. So, really cool stuff. Illinois got some really great museums and some really great historical places to visit. And yes, we will be flying to the Chicago area, guys. We'll be in Chicago. We'll take plenty of pictures of Chicago. I even picked some few Chicago landmarks we'll be paying a visit to as well, including Wrigley Field. We should see Willis Tower in Wrigley Field here. Northwestern University's up here too. We'll pay a visit there. We're gonna visit, spend some time around beautiful Chicago. I'm really excited though for. Hey, thank you for coming, Philippi. I know you're on your lunch break and stuff. I hope your work goes well for the rest of today, and thanks for coming by as always. It's great to have you on the stream here today. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and see you soon, my dude. Have a great day. So we're going to be headed to Pontiac Municipal Airport coming soon to prepare for our landing here. So a little bit of detail about Pontiac, Illinois. Pontiac is the county seat of Livingston County, Illinois. Population of 11,000, it fit 150 people. It's most well known for being the setting of the 1984 American comedy drama Grandview USA, which starred Jamie Lee Curtis, Patrick Swayze, C. Thomas Howell, Troy Donahue. we go, guys. Yeah, there's a lot of windmills here in the States. And it's because Illinois is potentially a place where wind power can actually grow here in the country. We have some of the windmills here of our proud state. So I'm thinking about next Wednesday, what we're going to be doing next Wednesday. I think next Wednesday is going to be doing some flying out of Dublin, I think. Maybe I wanted to do something a little different here on Wednesday, and I'm thinking about doing some flying around the Alps. I was thinking about doing some GA stuff. We're going to do some GA stuff out of Nice. And probably take some floatplane action. Maybe we take the Sea Star or something, and we fly out of Nice Harbor. Check out Nice. Check around the French Riviera. We're gonna go around the Riviera of Genoa, Nice, and we go to Marseille. I thought that would be a lot of fun with some amphibious float stuff. That would be fun. Never really gone much out of the French Riviera before. Especially the new sim. I'm really curious to see what that's going to be. I think that's going to be a lot of fun. That'll be next Wednesday, and then we have our 2 states next week, Maine and Missouri. Should be a lot of fun. Beautiful stuff here today. And don't worry, we won't be seeing too much of this next time. I think in a couple weeks we'll finally get to some interesting places. Maine should be absolutely gorgeous next week. Maine should be absolutely gorgeous. We're going to fly around the Maine coast, which is going to be, we're going to fly around to the Maine coast, Portland, Bar Harbor, Bangor, and Millinocket. We'll fly around that area next week. That should be pretty nice to fly over. Maine should be. And of course, we're going to be heading west soon in part 3 as well. We're going to visit Arkansas, which should be nice. Michigan should be cool. Texas. We're going to visit like Houston, Austin, and Dallas. Should be really cool to visit. That should be great to visit. Iowa should be interesting, and so is Wisconsin. But of course, we finally head west in part 4. The next part will be California, which in a couple weeks will be California, and California, Minnesota should be great. And we could finally head west to some actual great scenery. It will come eventually. We will get great scenery in this sim pretty soon. Don't worry. And of course, not to forget, after the series is over, we're going to be doing national parks, trails, that. And there will be plenty of things we'll talk about. History, much. We'll talk for it. Here it is, guys. Pontiac Municipal Airport should come up really. Here we go. Here's Pontiac, Illinois, too. In front of us is Pontiac, Illinois. That's right in front of us. A little bit of other information about Pontiac. It really grew. It was named after the Native American leader of the Odawa people, 1837. It grew mainly during the 19th century, thanks to the fact the Reform School and the State Reformatory helped grew Pontiac as a town. Also, Abraham Lincoln visited here as well in the 1840s and 1855. Stephen A. Douglas, an abolitionist, Owen Lovejoy both visited here as well in the 1850s. As Grant passed through here to visit his son. And even William Jennings Bryan came here too. And Theodore Roosevelt all came through Pontiac. So multiple presidents and figures went here as well. And it was home to the Illinois Route 66 Hall of Fame. It was also here in Pontiac, Illinois. Here we go, guys. We're in Pontiac. Second to last stop of the day. We got one final stop left to go, and that is Chicago. So that's really where a lot of people live in Illinois. Like, a lot of people think Chicago's the capital of Illinois because, well, it's such a big city. But a lot of people don't realize that Chicago's, like, people in Chicago don't realize there are plenty of other states with bigger main cities in their capital. Look at Kentucky with even though Louisville's the bigger city, Frankfurt's the capital. That's way smaller than both Louisville and Lexington. Another city that's actually similar, Pennsylvania with Philadelphia and Pittsburgh, but yet they chose Harrisburg as the capital. New York with Albany instead of the Big Apple. Here, and we're gonna take a quick break here. Take a quick break and enjoy. We'll have a quick break. We'll be back in just a minute. I'll stay here and just enjoy our time. let's go ahead and get ready for our last leg of the trip. We're going to be heading to Chicago, Illinois. So we're going to go ahead and um, prepare for our last leg in Chicago. Will be This leg should be around 99 nautical miles. So that'll be one of the longer legs of this team. We're going to go ahead and we're going to go ahead and So we're going to go ahead and head our way over to Illinois for a bit. As we head our way to Chicago and the Windy City, we're going to go ahead and talk about a few more things about the state of Illinois. So part of its culture is got to be music, and Chicago, Illinois is a major leader of music education, thanks to having hosted the Midwest Clinic International Band Orchestra Conference since 1946. As well as being part of the Illinois Music Education Association, one of the largest professional music education organizations in the country. There's also the Southern Illinois University Carbondale Music Festival, presented dozens of performances in the region. Chicago, of course, is one of the major centers of music in the country. It has hosted distinctive forms of blues, house music, and more were developed here in Chicago. Chicago, after all, is one of the major music centers of the country. It did the blues and house music, which is electronic dance music. And a lot of the blues were grown because of the Great Migration from poor workers in the South into Chicago. And a lot of it brought the traditional blues and jazz to the city, with both its Chicago blues and Chicago-style jazz. Many blues artists like Muddy Waters, Junior Wells, Howlin' Wolf, and Sonny Boy Williamson's were part of Chicago, and jazz greats like Nat King Cole, Gene Ammons, Benny Goodman, and Bud Freeman were all part of Chicago's music heritage. And then punk, heavy rock, and hip hop are all major parts of popular here in Chicago as well. Especially with bands like Fall Out Boy, Disturbed, and more are part of it. But yeah, lots of people from around the Chicago, Illinois area. And finally, Illinois as well also has had a rich movie history too. A lot of films were filmed here in Chicago. And including John Hughes, and many of the films were filmed in Chicago. Notably, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, Home Alone, and The Breakfast Club it take place in the fictional Shermer, Illinois, as well, for big parts of movies. And then sports, of course, sports are a big part in Illinois society, and nearly everyone and all Major League sports teams have their teams headquartered in Chicago, including two Major League Baseball teams, the Chicago Cubs of the National League, playing at Wrigley Field. We'll get to that pretty soon. And they used to have the longest time without a championship of all American sports, from 1908 to 2016, where they won the World Series. Yes, over 108 years without a championship. Into the 2016, finally, the Cubs finally won a championship, and the White Sox also had their curse too, from 1917 to 2005. And they play on the south side of Chicago at Wrigley Field. The NFL, of course, has one of the most historic franchises. The Chicago Bears, having won 9 total championships, the last being Super Bowl 20 in 1986, and had one of the greatest defenses in NFL history. The 85 Bears, the second greatest defense ever. They absolutely annihilated the Patriots. It wasn't easy. They were lucky the Patriots beat the Dolphins. The NBA, of course, is one of the most recognized basketball teams in the world, the Chicago Bulls. They won 6 championships during their time. And they were both three-peats. And guess who led in both of those three-peats? Considered to be the GOAT himself, Michael Jordan. Yes, the GOAT. Many people call him the greatest to ever play in NBA basketball. Michael Jordan, a legendary figure in basketball. And of course, the NHL has its Chicago Blackhawks, one of the original 6 NHL franchises. One of the original 6, the Blackhawks. They are now one of the original 6. They've won 6 Stanley Cups, most recently in 2015. MLS has the Chicago Fire, one of the best supported clubs in the MLS, winning 1 league title in 4 Lamar Hunt Open Cups, and now they play in Chicago. They also have several minor league teams around Illinois, including those in Bloomington, Illinois, like the Bloomington Edge. Chicago has its own minor league baseball team, independent team. Several minor league clubs across Illinois, and American Hockey League, like the Ice Hogs, and more play around Illinois. There's also 13 Division I NCAA programs. The two most notable are both in Illinois, both in the Big Ten, being the Illinois Fine Alumni and the Northwestern Wildcats. The Illinois team has won actually 5 national championships. They're actually a pretty historic program with 5 national championships, and won 3 Rose Bowl for the football team. The basketball team has won 17 conference championships and played in 5 Final Four appearances, while the Wildcats have won 8 conference championships. They played a Rose Bowl game as well for football. They also have several small programs, most notably Northern Illinois, play in the Mid-American Conference, but they're now moving all the way to the Mountain West. Weirdly enough, they even played in a New York 6 bowl game, Orange Bowl, and several other smaller division FCS teams. Finally, motorsports has Chicagoland Speedway and Chicago Motor Speedway, Chicago, and there's several golf courses. So yes, Illinois definitely has some sports. Hey, good to see you, Dougal. No worries. You're flying at flight level 360 to Edinburgh. Nice. You know what the thing is, Dougal? I can't wait to visit Edinburgh in June. I cannot wait for my day in Edinburgh. Oh yeah, and a while ago, my mom managed to book tickets to Edinburgh Castle. So yeah, I'm going to be visiting the Edinburgh Castle. We're going to go down the Royal Mile. And we're going to end at Holybrooke Palace. It's Holyrood Palace. Holyrood House Palace, which is the official residence. We're going to be ending up there. But we're going to check out some really cool stuff in Edinburgh. Cannot wait to... I know. It's going to be an entire day, though. And the only sad thing is it's going to only be for 1 day for the cruise. But I cannot wait to visit, though. We got the castle and stuff, so I'm very, very forward to this. I can't wait to give you guys the pictures. I'm very excited. I'm very anticipated for it. But yeah, there's just a lot to see. I think my mom already got some itinerary and stuff. I know my sister's going to do something a little interesting. I think my sister's going to see some interesting tour. I think she's going to do one on the underground tour. That's what I think. I think that's what she's going to do, some sort of underground city stuff. Check out the underground The Mary King's Close, the Berry Street. I think she's going to do something similar to that. Check out underground vaults. Where are you visiting England? May to June. I think it's gonna be like May 27th, and my cruise doesn't until June 14th. We're gonna spend a few days in London, Dougal. I think we got our itinerary planned. I think one day when we get to from Heathrow, first day is gonna mainly check out Kensington Palace. Is gonna be one of those days. We're gonna check out Kensington Palace and explore that area. One day we're gonna check out the Natural History Museum in London, which is super cool. One day we're gonna do that, explore the Natural History Museum, explore that. Then our third day in London is gonna be we're gonna do a taxi cab. We're gonna do a private black taxi cab tour, and we'll check out all the different London landmarks one day. We're going to check out all those. We're going to visit every one of those, including like St. Paul's Cathedral, Tower Bridge, of course, the Parliament area, Westminster Abbey. We're going to check out Buckingham's also included. St. James and Buckingham are included. We'll take some really cool pictures and stuff. And then the last day in London before we head to Southampton is going to be Windsor Castle, which is the Windsor Castles. We're going to check out the historic castle and explore the beautiful area in Windsor. It should be absolutely neat. Oh, I know, it is very expensive. My mom and dad are pretty well aware of it. It can get very expensive, I know, which is why we're doing that stuff. It is expensive. Oh, nice. Unfortunately, we're not going to be in Stonehenge, unfortunately. We decided not to do Stonehenge, sadly. We just didn't feel like it would be worth it for us. Go that far west, and we don't spend a lot of time in the area, sadly, for all the tours. And my dad's kind of the one that wants to spend time looking at places and exploring things that sound interesting. But we're still going to explore much of London. But we still get to check out all the places we want to visit. So I'm not upset with that. Then afterwards, we go to Southampton, get to our ship, and we're going to be going... we're going to be visiting Cork first. We're going to be in Cobh. Cobh is going to be where we're going to be ported in Ireland. We've got Blarney Castle. So Blarney Castle and Gardens. We'll check out the historic castle. And then do some bit of downtown Cobh. Mainly check out St. Colman's Cathedral. Would be one we'll check out. Get some lunch. And the next day is going to be Liverpool. Is the next day afterwards is going to be June 5th. It'll be Liverpool, which is my most visited English city on the itinerary, is Liverpool. I'm very looking forward to that. So we're mainly going to do, in Liverpool, we're going to look at the docks. Oh, thanks, Dougal. No worries, I'll say hello to your parents. But in Liverpool, we're mainly going to go around the dock area. We're going to explore the dock, which has got the music experience, the Royal Library Building, Statue of Liverpool, check out the Royal Albert Dock. We might go check out the Liverpool Cathedral, the really big cathedral in Liverpool. Huge. And then afterwards, I'm planning on doing... I got me an itinerary for soccer, or English football itinerary for Everton, which is going to be checking out... oh, same here, thing. I'll let you know, Typhon. But it's going to be about Everton FC, so we're mainly going to check out the new stadium that's being built. So it's going to be new Everton Stadium in the Brantley Moor Dock. They're going to have that. I'm going to maybe go ahead and visit the Goodison Park. If it's not torn down, maybe it's still standing. I may check out Goodison, and then check the area around Goodison and then that, and then I know I hate to admit it, as an Evertonian, I'm hoping that if it's available, we do a stadium tour at Anfield. Yes, I'm an Evertonian. I don't like Liverpool, but I do want to visit a Premier League stadium during my time in England. So why not visit one of the grand cathedrals in the former home of Everton at Anfield? So I'm just waiting for when the tours are available. Go to Anfield and explore one of the grand cathedrals of English football. Then we have a day of sport in Belfast. Gonna check out some Belfast landmarks. I have an excursion planned in Glasgow, mainly visiting Ayr and Colzian Castle is where we're gonna be going for that one. Then it'll be Kirkwall next. Got some interesting stuff in Kirkwall, then Inverness, then the day of exploration in Edinburgh. Then the final destination for the cruise is going to be Le Havre, France, and it's going to be a very memorable one for my family. We're gonna do the Normandy thing, visit the beaches of Normandy, and we're going to visit the American Cemetery because my family is one of my family members, my mom's uncle, my mother's father's brother is buried beaches of, which is a big deal because none of our family members have ever visited that grave. We'll be the first members of their family to. It's gonna be a very touching thing. Like I said, I'm very excited for this. It's gonna be my most anticipated trip ever. And yes, I'll put plenty of pictures on my Discord to show you guys. But all of them. So, that's what I'm going to be doing in the United Kingdom. Now, I don't know what to do with all those pictures. I will take as many of them as I want. So let's go over some of the other slides we'll be covering here today. So in Illinois, we'll talk about some of the transportation stuff. In terms of transportation, Illinois is a very important hub. Thanks to a central location proximity to both the Rust Belt and Grain Belt, Illinois is a natural crossroads for air, auto, rail, and truck traffic. Of course, nowadays, air transport is the biggest deal. At one point, Chicago O'Hare was the busiest airport in the world from 1962 to 1998 when Atlanta surpassed it. However, more people fly in and out of Chicago than any other city in the country, thanks to having both O'Hare and Midway. O'Hare is still one of the busiest airports in the globe and is a major hub for both United and American Airlines. And there's even more expansion going on the way. Midway, which at one point was one of the busiest airports in the world, is mainly the secondary airports serving for Southwest. Illinois also has numerous highways and interstate highways that are owned and maintained by the state, including those of I-24, I-39, I-41, and I-94. And Illinois has the most primary interstate passengers of all 50 states with 13. And thanks to its central location, it has a lot of interstate bus services going from east to west. So lots of bus services, and it has extensive passenger and freight rail transportation due to Chicago being, of course, at one point, the rail hub of the United States. Not as big of a deal before, but rail hub has still historically been very important for the state. And nearly every North American railway meets in Chicago, so yes, it's still a massive rail hub, just as it is today. So now let's talk about some fun facts about the Prairie State. Ottawa, Freeport, Jonesboro, Charleston, Galesburg, Quincy, and Alton, Illinois hosts the famous Lincoln-Douglas debates that stirred interest over the slavery issue in the United States. Let's not forget, this was a big deal back in the United States back in the 1850s. This was not far removed from the bloody Kansas incidents that rocked the entire country back in the day. On December 2nd, 1942, Enrico Fermi and a small band of scientists demonstrated the simple construction of graphite bricks and uranium lumps could produce controlled heat. And the space chosen was actually underneath a squash court under the football stadium of the University of Chicago. And guess what that built? The first nuclear reactor. Yes, built in Chicago. That's why nuclear power got its birth here in Illinois. Before Abraham Lincoln served as was elected president, he served in the Illinois legislature and practiced law here in Springfield. Abraham Lincoln is just buried outside of his tomb historic site, just north of the city. Next is New York Sun editor Charles Dana, tired of hearing Chicago's boasts about the world's Columbian Exposition. He dubbed it Chicago's famous nickname, the Windy City, due to all the Chicago's boasts of their World Exposition. And guess what? Chicagoans took that nickname to heart. Thank you very much. And it's actually a pretty famous nickname, considering Chicago is very, very windy. Finally, Chicago Public Library is the world's largest public library with a collection of more than 2 million books. Hey, we have a new follow. Good to see a Mike 246464. Good to see a Mike. Thank you for the follow, my dude. We're in Illinois right now. We're about to head to Chicago. We're doing the 50 states and 50 streams journey. We'll fly over all 50 states. This is part 21 of 50. US is absolutely really cool, and Illinois is one of the most important states in the country. But thanks to Chicago, of course. And Illinois is home to several notable figures. Franklin Pierce Adams, author from Chicago. Jane Addams, social worker from Centerville. Lawyer and politician William James Bryan from Salem, Illinois. Sidney Crawford, a very well-known model from DeKalb. Mayor Richard J. Daley from Chicago. How about, of course, Disney? Walt Disney himself is actually born in Chicago. And actor Harrison Ford is also born here in Chicago as well. Oak Park is home to the author Ernest Hemingway, very famous author. How about U.S. President Ronald Reagan from Tampico? Sam Shepard, playwright from Fort Sheridan, and historian and author William L. Shirer from Chicago. Yes, lots of famous people from Illinois. Again, a lot of those names are from Chicago. It's because, yeah, if we gotta talk about Illinois cities, we have to discuss Chicago, Illinois. And speaking of this, we're gonna be fun talking about Chicago at long last. So Chicago, Illinois is by far the most populous city in Illinois. No, seriously. 2.7 million people live in Chicago in the city itself. It's the third most populous city after New York City and LA. Its metro area is 9.6 million. In fact, of Illinois' population of 12.7 million, almost 70% of all people live in the Chicago metro area. Yes, I kid you not. 6, 12.7, 75% live in the Chicago area. Which is actually insane. So yes, 75% of all people in Illinois live in the Chicago metro area. Located in the shore of Lake Michigan, it was incorporated in 1837 near a portage between the Great Lakes and the Mississippi River watershed, and it grew really rapidly in the 19th century. No, seriously. In the 1971, the Great Chicago Fire destroyed several square miles. However, it still continued to grow. Chicago made notable contribution to urban planning, architecture, and the steel frame skyscraper. It's an international hub for finance, culture, commerce, industry, education, technology, and transportation. It has the largest and most diverse finance derivative market in the world, generating 20% of all volume in just commodities and financial futures alone. You also have one of the world's airports, being O'Hare International, and the nation's railroad hub. It's also among the highest GDPs of any urban region. In 2018, generating $689 billion US. And it's incredibly diverse. It's also a major tourist area, believe it or not, thanks to its cultural institutions, its Lake Michigan beaches, and its rich cultural heritage. Its food, dance, music, literature, film, and much, much more. And it's also a major sports area too. Yes, Chicago is rich in all of it. And Chicagoans think highly of themselves. They think they're the center of the world. To be kind of fair, most of the people do live in the Chicago area. Much. Um, in fact, in 2014, over 50 million domestic leisure travelers visited Chicago, which is a lot. This, um, and that's as a result. Yeah, Chicago is one of the most visited cities in the country, and there's tons to do in this city. There's no shortage of some incredible things to do: arts, entertainment, music, some fantastic museums. It has a rich cuisine too, thanks to its several regional specialties. Most notably, its deep dish pizza, Chicago style hot dog. Of course, whatever you do in Chicago on a hot dog, do not put ketchup on it. The people of Chicago will look down on you. Italian beef sandwich, chicken Vesuvio, and more. And of course, sports. Chicagoans love their sport. Of course, we'll be visiting two of Chicago's most beloved landmarks here in the city. First, we'll be checking out the Willis Tower, which is 1,401 feet tall. It is absolutely massive skyscraper, and it is very clear to see this massive skyscraper. It's the second tallest building in the Western Hemisphere. Actually, second tallest building in the Western Hemisphere, opened in 1973, was once the world's tallest building and it held it for 25 years. The third tallest building in the Western Hemisphere, more than 1.7 million people visit the Skydeck observation deck in the U.S. per year. It occupies a site bound by Franklin Street, Jackson Boulevard, Wacker Drive, and Am Street. And the building was designed to have 9 square tubes in a 3x3 matrix. It was once known as the Sears Tower, but it still is referred to it. But it became the Willis Tower, with its namesake, the Willis Tower Watson Company, which is multinational. Its largest tenant is actually United Airlines, which occupies 20 floors. And finally, this tower appeared in many films in Chicago, including Ferris Bueller's Day Off, where they visit the observation deck, Late Night with Conan O'Brien. It was featured in Life After People on History Channel, and it was also part of The Dark Knight, as it was part of Gotham City, as well as the 2011 Transformers film Dark of the Moon. And the 2013 film Man of Steel was filmed here at the Willis Tower. And the other beloved landmark in the city, of course, historic Wrigley Field. As a baseball fan, this is one of the most places I really wanted to visit. I got to visit Fenway, but never got to visit Wrigley before. But this ballpark opened back in 1914 as the second oldest Major League ballpark still operating behind Fenway Park. It opened as Weedman Park for the Chicago Whales of the Federal League, but the Cubs played their first home game here in 1916, beating the Reds. The namesake of it comes from the Wrigley Company, mainly William Wrigley, when he acquired the name of 1921, and the name still sticks even after all these years. It seats 41,000 people, which is quite a lot. Its record attendance was 47,000 people. And Wrigley Field's in the north side of Wrigleyville neighborhood. It's known as the Friendly Confines due to the fact it was popularized by Ernie Banks, and it's famous for its ivy-covered brick outfield wall, its distinctive wind patterns, the red marquee over its entrance, and the unique hand-turned scoreboard in center field. In addition, its location in the neighborhood, and in fact, if you stand on the rooftops, you can actually see the game from the rooftops. And it was the last Major League ballpark to have lights installed at home games in 1988. Yes, that late, which is unbelievably unusual. And finally, it also hosted some NFL games for the Chicago Bears as well. So yes, Wrigley Field, an amazing stadium. If you ever wanted to do, if you're a baseball fan, you need to make you need to make a commitment to Wrigley Field once in your life. You can't be a baseball fan without visiting both Wrigley Field and Fenway. It is a very cool facility. Wrigley is such a unique stadium, unlike any others in baseball. So how cool is that, guys? We're about to finally hit our way over to Chicago. And our last stop for today is Chicago Executive, located in Cook County, Illinois. It opened as Gothard's Fine Field. It was named Milwaukee in 1928 because of location near Palatine Road and Milwaukee Avenue. It's a combination of both names. It was purchased by George J. Prester, who developed it over the next 33 years. Helped build it to become a pretty well-known little airport. Of course, it's not as big as some of the other airports, but this is still a really important GA airport. And there are definitely some pretty well-known accidents that happen here in this airport. Pretty cool stuff. That is our final slide for Illinois. So that's it, guys. That's our last slide here in Illinois to cover. So we're about to finally make our way down to Chicago. And look at the size of it. In this area, if you look to our left and look our way left, around this area is Chicago Midway. Oh, there's 6 knots. I see you there, my dude. What are you doing in and around the Chicago area? I wonder if you're in O'Hare right now. 6 knots. I see you. Being sneaky and all that. Yeah, we got a lot of pilots here in Illinois flying out of Chicago. We're gonna do some really cool flying around Chicago. We'll fly around. Of course, here's Meeks Field. Now, interesting story about Meeks Field for some of you guys that don't know. Meeks Field used to be an airport around this area on the North Island. However, nowadays, Meeks Field is now turned into a public park. But the sim has actually brought Meeks Field back as a handcrafted airport in honor of the 40th anniversary edition. Which is super cool they brought that back. Well. Here's the White Sox ballpark to our left, home to the Chicago White Sox. They play here in Chicago. And of course, here's the Willis Tower. This is absolutely recognizable from anywhere. So, really great stuff in Chicago. There's tons of great sports teams, obviously. If I gotta say the most famous player from each the Chicago teams, I could probably list a few of them. For the Bears, their greatest player to ever play for the Bears is probably going to be Dick Butkus, linebacker, very, very feared linebacker, one of the most feared men to ever play in the NFL. Absolutely feared by everyone. Everyone fears Dick Butkus. Everyone fears Dick Butkus. For the Chicago White Sox, their best player is Carlton Fisk. There's some really well-known players here in Chicago. He's probably the greatest White Sox player of all time. Kelly Fox, well, the Cubs is probably going to be Ernie Banks. He's the greatest Cub of all time. For the Chicago Bulls, it's without question Michael Jordan. Why anyone else would feel really out of place. Anyone but Michael Jordan would feel completely out of place. Alright, look at that. Oh, that's amazing. So there's Soldier Field down below us. Yes, and they're going to actually build a new stadium for the Bears soon. They're going to finally get a new facility in Chicago. Been long overdue. Maybe considered one of the worst stadiums in the NFL. Around this area is the North Island. They got the Shed Aquarium, the Adler Planetarium. Here's Meeks Field. Here's Meeks Field. Look out, don't want to crash into Soldier Field. Yes, they're going to build a new stadium. Right here is the Willis Tower. Also, one of the traditions here in Chicago is that the river here, the Chicago River, during St. Patrick's Day, actually goes into a shade of green. During St. Patrick's Day celebration, Chicago River turns green. Notice. Look at all the top buildings here. That skyline is among the most recognizable anywhere. Not just in the United States, anywhere. So, of course, for you guys at downtown Chicago. Here's the 360 Chicago building. Just incredible skyline here in Chicago. Absolutely. We're gonna head down to Wrigley Field. Yes, there's a couple beaches here in Lincoln Park. Beautiful beaches here. Of course, to our west, you can absolutely see the gargantuan building that is Chicago O'Hare. The megapolis that is Chicago O'Hare. So we'll fly over Wrigley Field, home of the Cubs, and then we'll finally make our way over to Northwestern University in Evanston. Northwestern's a very prestigious university academically. Here it is, guys. Wrigley Field. And actually, we're gonna go ahead. I'm actually gonna cancel going Northwestern. I'm actually gonna decide. You know what? We're gonna head straight to the airport. I hope you guys enjoyed the stream. This has been an absolute blessing here today. So we're gonna finally end up our way over to Chicago Executive. Of course, this airport here, the massive Chicago O'Hare, which is absolutely enormous. Never been to O'Hare. The busiest airport I've ever visited was was actually Orlando International or Miami. But actually, technically, it would be Dallas Fort Worth, technically, but I didn't. It was Dallas Fort Worth was the busiest airport I've ever been. But I never visited Atlanta either, which is huge. Trust me, Dallas Fort Worth and O'Hare are absolutely enormous airports. So we're about to make our way down. Yeah. So I hope you guys are enjoying this. This has been a great stream, you guys. It's been a blast having you here. We're very close to making our final landing here. We're gonna land on runway. We're gonna land on runway 30. It's gonna be where our runway is gonna be. Beautiful Chicago. I'm very much excited though. There are tons to do in Chicago. There's no shortage of things. There's all sorts of tours you can do in Chicago. Of course, if you're a sports fan, you definitely want to go tour Wrigley Field. And also, maybe the United Center or Soldier Field would be pretty good for sports fans. Or United Center, if you're like basketball. If you're architectural guys, there's lots of river cruise and stuff to do around architecture. You can take food tours and walking stuff. Pretty cool. Chicago also has a rich history with the crime and mob stuff. If you're interested in learning more about Prohibition era stuff, like gangsters and stuff, you got tours for that. You can. Food tours are very popular here. Chicago's a great food city. Lots of museums. There's tons to do in Chicago. No shortage of activities you can do here in this. It is one of the cities I really do recommend. Chicago is historically, you would think Chicago is has crime and stuff, and to be kind of fair, Chicago, interestingly enough, in terms of crime, Chicago in 2020 was 3,906 people. Of course, has issues with homicide, armed robbery, and violence. It has a higher murder rate than the larger cities of both New York and LA. However, because of its, while it has lots of crimes individually, it's actually not even one of the top 25 most violent cities. It's just always certain areas in Chicago are worse, particularly. It depends on your neighborhoods. Some neighborhoods have more than 10 times than other parts of the city, so it depends on which part of Chicago it is. So, as long as you avoid those bad neighborhoods, I don't think you really have to worry about crime. It historically has had a big issue, but like I said, you gotta practice your safety. Here it is, guys. Go ahead and go to our final step. Head then down to our final step. Here we go. Here we go, guys. Our final stop here is. So, thank you all so much for coming here, as always. It's been a blessing to have each and every one of you here. Each 50 streams. It's been great having you guys here. Always, you guys are such a massive blessing for this community. So we'll officially be returning here. I absolutely love playing this one. This one's really great. And we're down. Beautiful. And we'll park. I guess we'll park here. Guys, we've officially landed here at Chicago Executive Airport. So, guys, thank you all so much for coming here today. Such blessing to have you guys here. We had some great time in Illinois. Thank you all so much for today. So we will be back on Sunday in Alabama. We'll see you guys in Mobile. So see you guys here. Take care, everyone, and have a great rest of your Friday. Hope you have a great start of your weekend. We're going to be saying hello to a close friend. We're going to say hello to... Oh, we're going to say hello to our good friend Ibania's Player. We're going to check out his channel all soon. Take care, everyone, and have a great rest of your Friday. Goodbye.